benefits of SAFe. There are plenty. I mean, the Scaled Agile has recorded by conducting many, many surveys with all those Fortune 100 companies, Fortune 500 companies, trying to understand what has SAFe done to them. And some of the scores, what you're seeing here, especially from engagement perspective, productivity perspective, quality perspective, time to market perspective, they've computed all those numbers and then they collated that and they figured out that there is a lot of benefits from each one of them. 30% plus on engagement, 50% plus on faster time to market, from concept to cash, increasing in productivity by up to 35%, and defect reduction is almost 50%. So a lot of good concepts, good practices, good competencies are brought into SAFe, which will help organizations to move forward, especially with the modern delivery system, again, moving away from the traditional legacy way of doing things.
All right. So what is SAFe? So somebody's trying to ask you, a layman, and you're trying to explain to a layman, or you're explaining to a middle schooler what SAFe is. So can somebody give a shot and see what SAFe is? What do you think SAFe is? Scaled Agile framework for sure, but what is Scaled Agile framework is all about? All right. So let's go ahead and explore what SAFe is. So there's a big definition, right? There's a big definition here. So, but before we get into the definition, again, we are trying to explain it to a middle schooler what SAFe is. All right. SAFe is free. Yeah, free is good, right? So you go to a website called scaledagileFramework.com, which we are going to show you at the end of this webinar. ScaledagileFramework.com. It's a public website. Anybody can go there. So when you go there, nobody will ask you for login ID password. Nobody will ask you for any subscription. So it's a public website. All right. And then SAFe is not a product. There's nothing to buy, nothing to install, nothing to version control, and nothing to put patches on it. It's not like a Microsoft Office product or anything. It's not a product at all. All right. Then, as we were saying, as somebody said, SAFe is meant for enterprises, big companies, organizations, multi-team organizations. If you only have one or two teams, you don't want to implement SAFe. It'll be an overhead for you, overkill for you. So SAFe is meant for enterprises, big companies. All right. And SAFe is meant for lean enterprises. SAFe is meant for lean enterprises. So, there is a big concept of lean. Lean came from Toyota manufacturing industry, identify the delays and, reduce the delays and then short time to market, right? So that's the concepts of lean. So if an enterprise is lean enterprise, SAFe is good for you. If you're a process heavy enterprise, let's say CMMI level 5, level 4, SAFe is not going to work for you. SAFe is the knowledge base, like a repository, like a SharePoint, right? So you go there, you get all the information. So SAFe is simply put a knowledge base. But knowledge base of what? Knowledge base of principles, practices, and competencies. Let's do a quick pause here and understand the difference between a principle and a practice. So principles are context independent. They work for you, they work for me, they work for everybody. And practices are context dependent. What you do is a practice. Why you do what you do is a principle. For example, we do daily stand-up. Daily stand-up is doing. Or we do the system demos. We do sprint planning. And we do inspect and adapt. So these are all the actions that you do or the practices. Why should I do daily stand-up? No, I don't want to do it. Why should I do inspect and adapt? Why should I do system demo? So these are all the reasons behind why you do things. And again, principles are at the highest level. And the values, principles, and practices. Practices can change. It's okay. It's okay to tweak the practices, but principles always remain same. If the practices are not working, always refer back to the principles. Principles always work. So SAFe talks about a bunch of principles. There are 10 SAFe principles. And there are a bunch of practices. PI planning. You may have heard that peer planning, system demo, and so on. So these are all the practices. So this knowledge base is going to talk about principles and bunch of practices. And competency. Competency, there are 7 core competencies in SAFe. We're going to see that in a picture. So basically, these are your areas where you need to get expertise on. So you need to master some of the knowledge areas, some of the competencies, some of the proficiencies you need to get perfect in. You need to master those. There are 7 core competencies. Simply put, SAFe is a knowledge base of bunch of principles, bunch of practices, and competencies. Where do you find them? You go to scaledagileFramework.com, you see these practices, you see these principles, you see these competencies. If you master these 7 core competencies, you're going to get benefited, right? I'm going to go next. So these principles and practices are not coming from a thin air. They are based on Lean, Agile, and DevOps. So Lean came from a Toyota manufacturing industry. We already talked about it. And it is way before Agile was, introduced, 2001. So Lean, coming from Toyota manufacturing industry again, product development. And then Agile came in 2001, Agile Manifesto, 4 value statements, role principles. DevOps came in 2011. So these principles, these practices, these competencies we talk about in SAFe are based on Lean, Agile, and DevOps. And you might be wondering, why should you do all this? So to achieve the business agility, we have a single goal with SAFe. So we want to achieve the business agility. Simply put, the definition of business agility is, it is the ability of the organization, enterprise, to compete and to respond to the emerging opportunities and threats by offering innovative business solutions. There is only one thing constant in here. That is the change. Your customers are changing, your markets are changing, your competition is changing, your employees are changing. So in this ever-changing world, we talk about digital disruption, right? So how do we master this? Master the art of delivering innovative business solutions. If the organization has that ability, we call it as business agility. So with SAFe, you're going to get business agility. That is the promise SAFe makes. And then these principles, these practices and competencies are not introduced yesterday. They came in 2011. SAFe came in 2011. And we had 7 principles, 8 principles. Then we have 10 principles now. And we have 5 competencies. Now we have 7 competencies. So we are learning. We are learning. So these principles and practices and competencies are proven. And then they are integrated. So they won't work for one single team. As somebody mentioned, these principles apply at scale. So these are integrated principles. These are integrated practices, work for multiple teams. So simply put, that is SAFe. This is the consolidated statement. SAFe for Lean Enterprise is a knowledge base of proven integrated principles, practices, and competencies for achieving business agility by implementing Lean, Agile, and DevOps at scale. That's a condensed statement.